Hello, everyone, and good morning from Canary Wharf in London. If you would like to turn on your videos, I'd be happy to see you and see your reactions to the cooking class. I'm going to encourage everyone to use the chat box today because we do have quite a lot of people on the call. But definitely the videos is nice to see you if you are there. And I can see, I'm just admitting some more people. Admit all. Hello. Hi, Kushi, how are you doing?
All good. All
good,
set
good.
for Diwali?
Sorry?
Are you all set for Diwali?
No, do you know what? This second lockdown has in the UK has come at the worst time for Hindus. I'm going to say they keep saying, you know, let's save Christmas, but we didn't actually save Diwali.
That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I make sweets all the time in my Thermomix, but I would normally go down to the most famous shop and go and get my Diwali mithai. I'm just going to mute myself on my son's computer because that's where I'm going to read the chat. So, you know, I thought, well, I'm sure everyone else is looking for that too, and hence Diwali class, very last minute. But it does show you how wonderful the Thermomix is and how adaptable it is. One of them is actually from one of the Indian books, and the other two recipes I've adapted.
Okay, sounds good.
So yeah, and I've done them all last night, so I know they work. So hopefully we won't have any problems today. Exactly. Let me just see who else is. We're just trying to admit everyone. Because we had quite a few people on there. But does anyone else want to show their videos? Otherwise, we can just start. And like I say, it would be great if we use the chat box for any questions. And I will keep my chat box open as well. So I have one chat so far. Oh, Andrew. Okay, that's fine. You don't have video on your PC, but so nice to meet you, Andrew, officially. I mean, I know you've had a Thermomix for a couple of months, and I have to say, the number of participants for this class is nearly triple my normal classes. So it's so nice to see so many people register for this class. Also, I'm doing a Christmas gift class and then a Moroccan gift class in a couple of weeks, all on Thursdays, all at 10:30. And to see the names registered, you know, many of them are friends, many of them are Thermomix owners, and we have people from all over the world as well. So it's just really good. And there's one lady here who hasn't joined yet, but I actually did my antenatal training with her when our children were 12, or well, when we were pregnant with our children, shall I say. And I haven't spoken to her or heard from her in about 10 years. So to see her name pop up was just an absolute joy. I'm just, yeah, really pleased to have everyone join us. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off just by telling what I'm going to cook in my Thermomix. We're going to do three recipes. The first one is I'm going to make a milk barfi. There's quite a lot of cooking time for that. So what I'm going to do is do the initial part in here and then put it on my Thermomix to cook. We're then going to make kulfi, which is kind of like Indian ice cream. And the final recipe is we're going to make motichur laddus. And I have to say that has been my favorite to make last night. Again, we're going to do real home cooking. I'm a home cook. I'm not a chef. And again, like I said, we're in lockdown here in the UK because I know I have a couple of clients on the call from India, and I think some from Australia today joining me. And what's really interesting, you would need a basin grater normally to make this dish, but I'm going to use a slotted spoon to show you you can do it with whatever you have in the kitchen, and the fact that it can be made. So sorry. Okay, that's fine. Some people are just working out their videos as well. Okay, so can I just perhaps ask, I know for most of you which Thermomix models you have, but perhaps if you could write in the chat box for me if you have the TM31, TM5 or TM6, because that will help me determine which, what temperature settings and things like that to tell you to use. And I can turn Millen's video off so we don't have to see that. So we have TM5s, TM6s. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's start with the Barfi recipe. Now, the great thing is I have actually reblogged all of these recipes, and I will be sharing them with everyone who registered because I have your register, but it will also be on my blog with a photo after the class. So you'll have all access to that as well. And obviously, they're all manual recipes, so whichever model you have, you could just be manually doing them. So the first step is milk, and I'm just going to grab that from the fridge. Is anyone used to making any of these dishes? I know we have a lot of sort of Indians with us today, but we do have people from all over. Has anyone made Indian mithai in their Thermomixes before?
Never tried desserts.
Never tried desserts. Okay. TM31. Okay, that's good, Caroline. We will sort that out. So the first thing is we're going to weigh in 200 grams of milk. Now, the difference is obviously the TM6 measures in 1 grams, whereas the previous models measure in 5 gram increments. Again, as a home cook, I really never been bothered if I go over by 1 or by 5, except, and I always say this at demonstrations, when I'm using saffron, and there's a lot of saffron in these recipes today. So that's when, you know, you do have to be a little careful with what you're using or how much you're using because of the cost of it. I'm going to tear this and then put 50 grams of ghee. Now, you can make ghee in your Thermomix. Again, real home cooking, I buy it. And I'm just going to put 50 grams. And you can see how cold the UK is because it's an absolute solid block. Khurshid, what's the weather like in Mumbai these days?
Hot, humid, just about the worst kind of weather. Send some cool weather this way.
Yeah, gosh. So definitely no ghee is solid.
No, not much, not at all.
No, exactly. I wouldn't think so. Okay, 50 grams. And I got 52. That's absolutely fine. And then what we're going to do was going to mix 3 minutes, 100 degrees, speed 3. So I go back to my screen and then just put 3 minutes, 100 degrees, speed 3. And this is nice to start to warm the milk and the ghee together, but also admit it. Hello, Yvonne, how are you doing? You're on mute still, darling. Let me try and unmute you.
I just did. Can you hear me?
You did.
Apologies for being late.
No, not at all, not at all. You missed me saying to the entire audience how delighted I was to see your name on the call. Because I don't think we've been in touch since the big girls were babies.
Exactly, yes. And now they've both gone into senior school.
I know. Everything's settling in well.
Yes, she loves her new school and is very happy. And it's a big change though, coming home very late, being very exhausted, but she loves it.
Wonderful.
How is boarding school going for Jasmine?
Yes, she's coping well. She's coping very well. She's home on the weekend because obviously it's Diwali. So I managed to get her home for what we call a floating weekend. So for, good reasons, you're allowed to pull your kids out from schools, but then she'll have her proper exit next weekend. So we get to see her.
Lovely.
Which is good. So just so I let you know, you haven't missed anything. All I've done is put some milk and ghee, and we're heating it up for 3 minutes, 100 degrees, at speed 3. And I like the speed 3 just so it's a good mix. And that's literally all we've done so far. So welcome.
Are you planning to share the recipes afterwards, or how does it work actually? Because
yes, I will have all the recipes on my blog, and because everyone registered for this, I will also send you the links.
Lovely, thank you.
So it's just a matter of getting everyone cooking and seeing how things are going. And you can see, I don't know if anyone can see the film, you can see the steam starting to come off from my Thermomix. Obviously I've got flowers as well, but that just makes a pretty background for my virtual. And it's starting to spit, so I'm just going to make it a little bit slower. Again, live demo. Okay, so that has got very nicely hot. And what we do next is we're going to add milk powder. Now, it's really interesting because I did, convert this from another blog. Milk powder in the UK, which is full fat, is quite hard to find. And I went to several supermarkets before I actually was able to get it. It should be readily available, but it's just where they put it in the supermarket is a mystery. And I'm very, very lucky that after I finished all my samples that I had at home, I ended up going and getting a very, very nice man in Asda on the Isle of Dogs yesterday. And when I asked him, you could tell, well, I don't know about the stereotype, but you could tell he knew exactly what I wanted, because he said, is it for coffee or or tea as a milk substitute alternative, because that would be in the coffee section. But then he actually used the product by brand and said, or do you need Nido, which is in aisle 27. So if you can't find it in a just the regular place, definitely ask someone, and Asian supermarkets tend to have them. Now, the reason why you're gonna definitely need milk powder for any of these recipes is because if you're going to see The next step is I'm adding 250 grams of milk powder to this recipe, and the tin is only 400. So, and it's kind of, again, if I just show you what it looks like, it's very much like baby milk, but pretty much the whole tin is needed. Now, it's also very interesting when you start making Indian sweets. The reason why they're so good is because of the amount of sugar in them. Everything is, it's basically milk, cream, and sugar, and more sugar on top of it. So I recently sold a Thermomix on the weekend to a lady who actually runs the Diabetics Society in the UK. And she actually had some questions for me when I was in Asda last night. And I was saying to her, well, I have a workshop tomorrow, but I'm not sure you want to join because it's just sugar, more sugar, and a little bit more sugar. But again, that's why it's so good. And it's why it's used for festivals and treats, you know. So we have 250 of the milk, and then we have 100 grams of sugar. So again, measuring that in. I'll be honest, I went to 106. Okay. And so now what we have to do to this mixture is we're going to cook it for 30 to 40 minutes at 120 degrees, speed 2 or 3. All right. Now, I know some people have TM31s and some people have TM5s, and obviously some people have TM6s on the call. The idea, what you want to do is cook it slow and for a long time. So it starts to not just cook, but form a ball and then basically a dough. So we're not going to watch milk churn here. I'm going to put it on the back, and then I'm going to show you what it should be. And every so often I will look back at the Thermomix and cook with it. The other thing I'm going to mention is we're going to have the measuring cup off because we want it to evaporate, and that's again helps the evaporation. So just here. And when you're live, things always take longer to switch on than you hoped they would. Okay, so I'm going to put 30 minutes. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put 20 minutes, 120, speed 2, with the measuring cup off. And every 20 minutes, I'll check it, because the worst thing you want to do is overcook it. But obviously, you need to start to see it. Now, the reason why this is not a precise, put it on for 30 minutes and it goes, is because it's going to make a difference. The temperature your milk was at, the temperature of the room. And so the constant adjustment and checking in actually helps the Thermomix and your Barfi the work. But essentially, once that step's done, I will show you what we do and how we finish after that. Any questions up to this point? I see there's lots of questions, but they aren't showing on that. So, okay, perfect. The next one we're going to do is kulfi, which is a very, very creamy ice cream. I think it's, again, very popular in Indian restaurants. And if I tell you what we're actually putting in here, it's sugar, milk, condensed milk, and milk powder, right? Now, kulfi is generally made with pistachios as well. And I have made the version that I made yesterday with pistachios, but my son actually has a nut allergy. So for the version that I'm making today, I'm gonna not use the pistachios for that, but I'll show you what we do. So the first step would be to put about 80 grams of pistachio nuts into the Thermomix bowl, and you just basically just want to chop it. So it's 2 seconds, speed 6, and then set aside. And what you're going to do with that is actually mix those pistachios into the kulfi mixture before you freeze it. But I'm going to skip that at this point and go straight to step 2, which is 400 grams of cream. So again, weighing it as we go along. And I just saw a question from Anita. Do you think you can use baby milk powder? I don't think you can use baby milk powder for this, but you will definitely be able to get the Nida in like any Asian supermarket, any Asian's grocery store, or any Asian supermarket, even, dare I say it, Middle Eastern shops as well. And if all fails, it's on Amazon. Yeah, exactly. I know in lockdown, people are trying to stay away from and making Amazon even richer, but it is possible to get them there too. So I'm using double cream. And then I'm using the butterfly whisk, okay? Now, this is the butterfly whisk that actually comes with the TM5 and the TM6. So for Carolina, who has a TM31, hers is just slightly shaped differently, but we put that in and we're just gonna make soft peaks with our double cream. Now, has anyone made butter before in the Thermomix? Got lots of shaking heads. I can't believe you guys aren't making butter in your Thermomix. So to make butter, oh, great, Carolina. Yes, thank you. You did. You did by mistake. Oh no, how did she make butter by mistake? Butter in your Thermomix is just an absolute joy. And all it is churning double cream. Oh, and she said she made it by mistake. That's exactly why. Because if you over-churn this step, it turns into butter and it turns in, yes, exactly, there you go. It turns into butter and buttermilk. So you want to be watching it. And again, it says 20 to 40 seconds on speed 4. So I'm going to keep my eye on this and do 40 seconds, but just see where it goes. So 20, I'll put 40 seconds, and I'm going to put 3.5 actually. Now it's interesting, mine was straight out of the fridge, so it might even take a little bit longer, but it's looking good. Okay. And so I still have 15 seconds left. And that's what I'm going to show you. Can you see that? That's what we want. The soft peak stage of of that. And now what we're going to do is add
was it 40 seconds?
Well, I put 40 seconds, but I only did use 25.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I only used 25.
Okay.
And so now we're going to add 1 can of condensed milk. Where's the condensed milk? Oh yeah, it's behind me. 1 can of condensed milk. And this is well, I mean, I think condensed milk only comes in one size, but this is a 400 ml or 397 gram condensed milk can. Away. We then need 200 grams of the milk powder. So let me get my scale. I'm having building work done in the house, so if you hear that, or next door, should I say, next door is having building work done. Which is why I need my second can. And this is priced at about £3.50. So it wasn't very expensive. And again, I think, Nita, you asked about baby milk. I think baby milk is much more expensive because of all the additives they put in as well. So 200 grams of that. And then we need 5 grams of almond essence or extract. So I'm just going to add a little dab. And then we need a 1/4 teaspoon of cardamom powder. So you can grind obviously spices in your Thermomix, but because I was using such a little bit, I just did it in a small spice grinder. And the smell in this house has just been amazing with that. So if I can show you that. And then we're just going to mix 4 seconds on speed 4. Just to mix those things together. And then we've got our kulfi ready to be frozen. So a nice little tip for everyone who has them, because I've got a time already on here. If I press, it goes to 0, which is on the TM5 as well. You keep it just pressed and it goes back to 0. So we're going to do 4 seconds, speed 4. Open. Scrape down. I'm just going to show you again what that looks like. So that's where we have it. So some of the milk powder is on the top, which is why I'm scraping down, back on, and we're going to do 4 seconds, speed 4 again. Just to whip it up. And there you go. We have our kulfi mix ready to be frozen. Now, it wouldn't be right if I didn't actually show you what the kulfi looks like. So we've made a little bit before. Now again, what I did for my kulfi is, and just because these, you know, I cook a lot, I do have children at home, so I buy these silicone molds all the time. Again, I can put these links into the emails for anyone to see, but I have these silicone molds which are good for ice pops and things like that, that then I can fill these with the kulfi mixture and then pop in the freezer. The other thing I have is can you all hear me over the building work? Oh, okay, because it's just loud for me then. Or additionally, you can have like just silicone molds like this that you can freeze and then use pops like, what are they called? Ice pop wooden sticks for it. So if I show you what I did yesterday for that, there you go. The ice cream pops like that. And all we do is just heat these a little bit so they release. Or, like I say, we filled some of the kulfi in these last night. Overfilled, I'm gonna say. Was this what I did? Yeah, live television. Oh, there you go. And again, just fill these in. So really, really lovely, reusable kulfi. And with this, as your hand warms up, it slides out. So this is really great for not just obviously kulfi, but any homemade ice creams that you're making in your Thermomix, or ice pops in the summer as well. And the other nice thing is, because they have a lid on, you can just throw them in the freezer quite easily. So we have that with our kulfi mix. That is, again, you can see why it's so good. Condensed milk, cream, sugar. It's a heart attack waiting to happen, but everything in small quantities is my goal. Okay, so that's that, Anita. And I have my housekeeper with me who's in the background just bringing things from the freezer. We can put that in later. Okay, so now we're going to make laddu. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, this is my virtual demo, and the only reason I'm making this is because this is my favorite recipe ever. There's also like a, so in Hindi, there's a besan laddu, which was basically all gram flour. But this is motichur laddu, which you make these little balls called bundi, and then you have them. So Veena is saying, have you tried besan barfi? I have tried besan barfi. Yes, of course. But you know, everyone has their favorites. Everyone has their favorites. And for me, it's definitely the motichur laddu. I'm making the you know, for example, the milk barfi. And again, like I said to you, the kulfi, the Vish version is without nuts, and the barfi I made last night has nuts, but today I'm not going to put the nuts on it because my son has a nut allergy. So, you know, when I'm starting to get, you know, you get the pistachio barfi and you get the chocolate barfi and you get everything else. I was trying to look for some gold leaf as well, but again, in, you know, central London, I wasn't able to do that, and I haven't been able to go to any Asian shops. But the beauty of this is how I suddenly have so much respect for, you know, the shops on how long things do take to make and the skill it takes to make. But equally, I'm super impressed with the fact that this recipe, the first time I made it was yesterday, right? And the fact that you can convert recipes so easily with the Thermomix is what always impresses me. I've been in I was going to say I've been in an owner for nearly 12 years. Again, I was just telling Yvonne that I bought the Thermomix when my daughter was 4 months old because I was just about to start weaning her. But I was so impressed with it that that's how I became an advisor. And 12 years later, it still surprises and impresses me with, once you know how to use the functions of the Thermomix, once you have an idea of converting recipes, how things are so easy to do. And this is a pure example. I will, when I share the recipe, credit the original blogger of the recipe. But obviously, the Thermomix version is mine, and I couldn't find a Thermomix version of, motichur laddu. I could find other things, but not specifically the motichur. And again, what's interesting is my housekeeper is from South India, and I'm originally from the north. We were trying to have this fight whether we make motichur laddus or we make gulab jamuns, because she prefers gulab jamuns. So what we have decided, that tomorrow morning we will make gulab jamuns. I won't put it on a Zoom call, but I also just recently did some social media training, and they're encouraging me to do a Facebook Live. So, I do these virtual demos all the time, but because I know who's coming to them, and I feel I have a relationship with you guys, it's not as scary. But my Facebook Live, we'll make the gulab jamuns on Facebook Live tomorrow, again, 10:30. And so you can have a look at that as well. So, okay, so motichur laddu, basically what it is, and if I show you what the end result is, if someone is, let me just grab one of them. It's a laddu that looks like this, made from these little balls, which are bundi. And they just all fell on my floor, but that's fine. It's live TV. Right, so what we first do is make the sort of bundi mixture in the Thermomix, and then we're going to fry them, make a syrup, sugar syrup, and then actually make your laddu after that. So, and the thing that I'm actually reading here is my website, which we will do as soon as we've got it. So let me just grab, and it also uses semolina. And it has to be fine semolina, just so anyone is wondering about whether you can use coarse. Now, if you happen to have coarse semolina already in your store cupboards, again, what you would do is you would grind the semolina before you actually use it, because it does have to be fine. Now that's 20 minutes. Let's just have a look at what the Thermomix is doing at the back. Okay, so it's like hot milk. Okay, so what this consistency of this is it's still lumpy, and it's a little bit unsmooth as well, and it definitely hasn't made a dough. So we're going to put it on for another 20 minutes. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to scrape it down. Okay, so back to the moti chor. What we need is 200 grams of gram flour, which is basically chana dal, so chickpea flour, 20 grams of semolina, so fine semolina, and then we're going to add some saffron. So again, this is readily available. Gram flour, again, is a gluten-free flour and now very, very popular with lots of people. Interesting. I forgot to put my scale on. So let me just grab that. And again, you know, when I'm doing lives, I always think I could pre-measure my ingredients and have it all ready to put in. But one of the things I like doing live, including weighing, is I want to show you guys how easy things are rather than here is something I did before and, just put it in. So again, even I made mistakes, so I hadn't put my scale on. So that's 25 grams, and now we want to get it up to 200.
Ankita, is this the same as besan flour?
Yes. No, gram flour is not besan, is it? Oh, it is besan. It is besan, yeah. And interesting enough, I think, and I need to do some research on this, but Anita is quite convinced. She thinks that the bundi mix, the mixture we're making now is the same, almost the same as we would need for jalebi.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right? I think the only difference is that jalebi might have a little bit of yogurt in it to make it softer.
And urad dal.
And urad dal as well?
To ferment.
Okay.
I have made bundis with my mom when I was young, the usual way, in a kadhai and with the thing. So it's fascinating to see it in Thermomix.
In the Thermomix, exactly. Okay. So I will try. I mean, if anyone's interested in seeing a jalebi recipe, I'll see if I can get one. So now we have the semolina, so the fine semolina. So 20 grams of fine semolina, which is basically just a teaspoon.
The Italian semolina is fine and the Indian semolina is coarse.
Sorry?
No, you can get fine semolina in India now.
As well?
Oh, yes.
Because I use the fine semolina for pizza base.
Oh, yes, I do that too.
Italian or flour and semolina from Italian.
Yeah. I think it's the pizza base with, like, I do half flour, half semolina to give it a very, very nice crunch. And, it's like anything, with those type of foods, sometimes I go over and then suddenly it tastes perfectly fine, but I've put too much. So the family are going, what did you do? But if you do half and half, it's hidden much better as well. Okay, and now we need saffron, and it says half a teaspoon of saffron. So I have to say I bring my saffron from India, but again, if I look, I mean, that's like a nice big pinch, and if I weigh it, it's not even 1 gram. So a massive pinch of saffron. And this next step is basically to sift the flour and the saffron together. It's 5 seconds, speed 5. And it's also when we, historically pre-Thermomix for any of us, where you would sift flour in a sieve. Speed 5 seconds is the same as sifting flour in a sieve. So we have 5 seconds. Speed 5. Okay, 5 seconds, speed 5, sifting, very nicely sifted. And if I show you, I mean, besan is slightly sort of yellow anyway, but now all my saffron threads have also completely disappeared in that. And I'm going to put 225 grams of water. So scales.
Room temperature water?
Yeah, it's just room temperature water, or tap water. Yeah. And we're going to mix 15 seconds, speed 5. Now, this is one of the most important stages. You want to not have any lumps in your bundi at all. So again, you can see that. I'm just going to scrape down. And then we're going to mix it again. So it is all lump free. Perfect.
How long did you do it for again after scraping down?
Sorry, I can't hear you. Let me just.
How long did you mix it after scraping down?
The second one, I did 15 seconds again.
Okay.
15 seconds again. So now what I have is this very sort of smooth liquid, which we're now going to fry into making our bundi. So if I show you, now just bear with me, Anita's just going to heat the, we're going to heat the oil, and this can be used, any oil, you can come in, darling, it's fine. We've heated some oil, and we're basically going to make bundi. So it's where I'm going to pick up my other computer and show you how we're doing this. So just, yeah. Got that. And we give the spoon, we'll show. So again, I mean, just if none of us are making Indian sweets, we probably don't have a bundi maker, but I will show you what is possible. So Anita, can you show me the two things that we're going to make the bundi with? Yeah. An oil strainer. Okay. This one in particular, because it makes round bundi. Can you pass me the other one? Yeah. We also tried it with this, which is like a Joseph and Joseph slotted spoon. And it made, where is the reject bundi? Okay. Ah, thank you. So again, I like to share the mistakes or the issues we have. This is what we're looking for. Sort of round, kind of 1 to 2 millimeter small squares that are, you know, small balls, which we got with this one, right? When we used this, which is equally the same size, we got this.
Jalebi.
So, huh?
Jalebi.
Almost jalebi, yeah, exactly. So we're going to do something with this, but this clearly does not make bundi as well as that. Otherwise, you have to head to get a bundi maker, and I'll show you what we're doing now. Okay. You almost ready? Any? It's not hot yet. Okay. So let's we'll get the hot, the oil hot, and then I'll take the phone over. Could I just have a look? I'll wipe some of this down as well. Thank you. So, Veena, how long have you had a Thermomix?
Since March, just a week before the lockdown started in Ireland.
Oh, okay.
So we had so much fun with it, obviously, you know, cooking 3 meals a day with everybody in the house.
I know, I know.
And of course, you know, I straight away started trying things that I, you know, would cook otherwise, and started, you know, experimenting.
Yeah, I know. It's actually really interesting for us, because when we first went into lockdown, we were, you know, for us, you know, because normally a Thermomix demonstration is face-to-face, and we were thinking, how do we continue our business without being able to have that face-to-face? And I think also, you know, trying it and tasting it and touching it is so important. But it's really interesting how these virtual demonstrations have still been very, very successful. You know, and today's is just to show everyone how, you know, to make things. But even from a sales point of view, you know, clients are now coming from all over the world and joining. And it's been really fun for us, because you get to know each other. It can be interactive. And it just means that everyone's sitting, you know, without having to travel, which is absolutely lovely. So let me just grab, we almost have the oil ready, Anita. Okay, and I'm going to grab my son's computer, which is just here, and I will put the video on. Oh no.
I was quite skeptical before buying it, because, as you know, coming from North India as well.
Yeah.
I said, I think it's better than Thermomix. Why do I need one? But honestly, it's been more like a help.
Yeah. No, it has.
And cook kind of a thing, you know. So I mean, it's more popular in Italy, you know, on mainland Europe. So I thought our cooking is so different. But
well, it's very interesting. I'll show you, because I've been an owner for 12 years. Yes. In fact, let me grab something that I will show you. When it was first available in India, I brought, and then obviously when the TM31 was available in India, and then they stopped selling it. But after that, when they closed it, I bought these cookbooks from India. And I basically bought the entire shipment of these cookbooks. It's called Fast and Easy Cooking. I sell them on my website. I went from about 600 copies, and now I have less than 20.
But I definitely get one.
Yeah, absolutely. Any one of my clients who are either from India or like Indian food, I always recommend this, because what surprised me most when my mother, you know, I went to my mother's house they're now in Goa, and she had, you know, she was cooking with a Thermomix. And I said to her, you know, did you convert these recipes for the Thermomix? And, you know, she's a retired doctor. She just looked at me and she said, I have got nothing better to do than, you know, convert my recipes for, you know, Thermomix. What are you talking about? She said, it's all in the book. And this, again, as someone who, you know, is Indian, I mean, I was born in India and I've grown up abroad all my life. This is the only book that I've ever thought was truly authentic recipes like we cook at home.
Okay.
Other, you know, there have been other books that they've had, and I think they're, you know, it's sometimes fusion, or there was a TM31 book that was produced by the UK company. In association, they partnered with an Indian lady, but I have to say she was Kenyan.
Okay.
Right? So to my taste buds, most people couldn't tell the difference. Most people couldn't, but I could.
But you and I could. And that's
yeah. And you know, it's very, very subtle. Or even when they produced the TM, there's a TM5 book, which is called Taste of. It's called A Taste of India. What is it called? Oh yeah, just bear with me just 1 minute before we fry. And it's a beautiful book. Cyrus Todiwala came to do the talk at the launch. And I was reading some of the recipes, and there's a rhubarb dal, right?
Yeah, I saw that. It's actually on the website.
Yes.
Website.
Now, because I've been brought up abroad, and I'm, bilingual or trilingual these days, I was just like, do I not know what the rhubarb word is in Hindi? Because you just said rhubarb or things like that. And then I'm Googling. I mean, Kushi, we don't have rhubarb in India, do we?
No.
No. So for me then, I had to readjust and say, this is a beautiful book of fusion, right? And if you take it as that, then it's fine and you enjoy the recipes. But if you take it as this is an Indian cookbook, then you have to change your opinion. But anyway, okay, so we're going to go.
Could you repeat the name of the book you just showed me? Sorry to interrupt there.
I'll send you a link. It's basically called The Indian Cookbook.
Oh, perfect.
It's basically called The Indian Cookbook. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it to, let me see. All right, I'm going to bring Milan's camera and we're going to go here. No, that's not showing. Active speaker. And I'm the active speaker now. Let me see. Okay, so I'm the active. Can we see me now? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to show you what we're doing. Aha, there you go, Anita. Okay, so what we're doing,
How deep was the oil, Ankita? How deep was the oil?
The oil isn't very deep. It's just a fry. So I would say 1 or 2 centimeters. So now what we have is, so let's go back to me. Okay, so now what we have is the small, Anita's doing in the background, all the bundi to the point where we will have, again, where is my bundi? This size bundi fried. So it does take a little bit of time, and we're just gonna let her do that in the background, because again, the beautiful thing is I can move on to making this sugar syrup. And this is, again, an interesting way that we're going to make the sugar syrup. So you would normally, after making your basin and your mixture, you can then wash the bowl and dry it. But because I have 2 bowls, or I have multiple bowls, as you can see today, we're just going to go and make the sugar syrup straight away. So I have 300 grams of sugar. And we're going to put some more saffron in it. So it says 1/4 teaspoon in the recipe, but again, it's a nice pinch, which doesn't weigh anything. So there's no point even giving you a gram. And then we are going to have 150 grams of water to that. Again, I've got a little bit more. And here, we're just going to dissolve the sugar for 5 minutes. So we're gonna have, we're gonna put 5 minutes, 120 degrees. To really, because we also want it to evaporate a little bit. And speed 1.5. So I'm just going to put that to the side. And the other Thermomix has binged at the back, so we can see the state that is at now for the Barfi. Again, let me get a clean spoon. Okay, so it's at this stage here. So it's definitely thicker, but still not into a ball. So there's 2 steps we can do now, and we'll do this with the demo, is I can put it back on, which I will do, and I'll cook it for another 10 minutes. Otherwise, we could at this stage just put it in a frying pan, a clean, dry frying pan, just to help it the last part. Now, we were looking at this and saying, again, this is a Thermomix demonstration. Why are we putting it in a frying pan? And it's just purely for time. Because the frying pan is open, the evaporation can happen at a quicker stage. Whereas when it's a closed vessel, it takes that time to happen. So I'm going to put it on for 10 minutes, and then we're going to show you the bundi. So are you going to have, Veena, I saw you were in Dublin. Do you have any Indian shops near you to be buying mithai? Oh, you're on your mute. You're still on mute.
Yes. Well, I say in last 20 years, things are much better than
right.
Yeah. So I used to have to get from UK the items. So my cooking was more fusion and just trying to,
yeah.
But now, of course, yes.
Yeah. Because I think this is the thing. My normal day before Diwali would be, which is tomorrow, I would normally be queuing up at this place in East London for hours, and it's now become a little bit of a family joke because there's no parking there. You can't pay in park. So my husband drops me off, and my husband's actually Polish, so he drops me off, and he always says, why don't we buy it from somewhere else, or why don't you have it delivered? And I'm like, the whole fun of it is standing in this queue when you meet people that you've never known, but because you're standing for 4.5 hours with them, it's the fun of it. Some year, obviously November or October, November in the UK, it's sometimes raining. So
just get into the festive mood.
Exactly, you get in the mood. So I'm wondering if it will be open tomorrow. My friend who lives very close to me actually said, she said, should we just go anywhere and see if it's open? Because if nothing else, it's getting out. But how they will do social distancing in that type of queue is beyond me. Yeah, I know, you're shaking your head.
We are on level 5 lockdown here in Ireland till 1st of December.
Yeah.
So only 5 kilometers radius you can go, no shops open. So
yeah.
I think I'll have to do my Amazon order. That's why I was thinking whether I could use milk, baby's milk, which I could get in Tesco,
Tesco probably does. If I could buy it in Asda, then you probably could. I think though, it's not in, the issue is, it's not in the obvious place.
Yes.
So you have to be going up and down an aisle, or you have to get someone who knows what they're talking about. But let me just double check I'm pretty sure
maybe
Amazon has.
This time, because of the Christmas coming and people are cooking in advance, there could be, because in between I was able to get milk powder, I would say 4 or 5 years ago, and I haven't seen it since then. I think the demand wasn't there, and now because of Christmas, I might see it.
No, exactly. So we have that.
And the reason I thought it'd be interesting to do besan ki barfi is the standing around the basin before it just gets burned or undercooked. So I thought that would be a very interesting thing to give it a go.
Well, interesting enough, there was a recipe for basin, but like I said, just because it's not my favorite. But if I find it, I'll send it across. Absolutely. So what's nice about this is now I've made the syrup. Again, I haven't got a clean spoon. It's a very yellow syrupy things. But what's interesting is we want it to be a little bit more sticky. So I'm just going to cook it for 2 more minutes, and then I'm going to show you what we're doing. So again, everything is trial and error. Now, I know, Khurshid, you definitely don't have the blade cover, but I'm going to go through what my process is. Essentially, you have to, on a normal recipe, you'd make the sugar syrup, cook the bundi for about 2 to 3 minutes in the sugar syrup, and then you have to let it wait for 10 minutes for all of it to soak up into the sugar syrup. Now, I did it yesterday, and we found that it took a little bit more time. So what we were thinking is, once we make the bundi, I'm going to take this sugar syrup, add it to a bowl, and mix it, put my blade cover back on, and for the 10 minutes, mix it in the Thermomix, because you want the heat to also soften the fried bundi. So that's what we're going to do. But I'm just going to make it a little bit more sticky while Anita continues to fry. Oh, we're almost there? Yeah. Almost there. We're almost there. And just before we do that, I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of cardamom powder again to this, and a 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice. Which I'm not sure how much, but that's what the recipe stated. So our cardamom is here. And I can close that down and show you the bundi. So I know there's quite a few people on the call with us that don't have their cameras on. If you have any questions, feel free to put your cameras on. And perhaps then we can answer some of the questions while we wait. It'd be really nice if anyone could, or there more comments.
The blade cover, I just wanted to ask you, the syrup goes underneath and the bundi goes on top of the blade cover.
Yes, I'm going to show you that now. Yeah. So that's, I mean, right now there's no blade cover on it, but when we put it back in, I'm going to put the blade cover in. Because what I want to do, the essential part is, I don't want to put the bundi straight in without the blade cover, because when you mix it, it's going to cut. So the blade cover will mean that everything will be on top of, the bundi will sit on top, and then it will still have the heat. I'll still be able to turn it and mix it, but it won't be chopping.
Did you use the blade cover for the TM5?
Yes, sorry?
Is there a blade cover for the TM5 as well, or just for the 6?
It fits on both. It's the same, okay. It's the same blade cover, but it fits on both.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
The advantage of the blade cover is, for example, for recipes like this where you can see it as a additional function to the recipe, but also for example, when you're doing sous vide, previously you do it in the internal steaming basket, and you didn't really have the volume to do 4 salmon or 4 steaks, or any piece of meat inside the internal steaming basket. With the blade cover, you're almost doubling the volume, and so you have that. It's other things like stews and casseroles, even ratatouille. I often found that even on a gentle stir, your food was cut.
Yeah.
So it's £19. I mean, dare I say it, anyone within the UK or even abroad, we've got Black Friday in a couple of weeks, right? And I always recommend to my clients, when they buy a TM6, to add the blade cover as an accessory, because when you buy your Thermomix, there's no shipping costs to any of the accessories. If you buy the blade cover by itself, it's about $4.95 delivery. So, for a £20 item, 25% of the cost is postage. So order at the time with your Thermomix, and then you have the blade cover shipped free. At this point in time, because we're getting more like the Americans with certain offers of deals, shall I say, for Black Friday, clients are expecting them. There is likely to be discounts on accessories. And the reason why I say accessories, because there's no way they're ever reducing the price of the TM6. And that's what I like, is that we never reduce the price of the TM6. But accessories such as a second bowl, books, or potentially the blade cover might come down in cost. So I'll let you know as soon as we find out. And again, because I'm independent, we only find out maybe a day ahead of you.
Yeah, would definitely be interested in the cover and the second bowl.
Okay, for the TM5?
Yeah.
Okay, definitely. I will let you know. I'll let you know. Okay, right. So we have back to our Barfi, and that's now been 40 minutes. Okay, so we're going to do something because Anita's nearly finished making the bundi, so I can show you this live. It's still a little bit gloopy, but it's definitely getting there. So what we will do, just to show you and for quickness, we're going to put this in a frying pan and make the Barfi. That point. So I can't see the frying pan at the moment, Anita. Let's finish the bundi. Almost finish the bundi, and then we'll do that to show you again what they look like. So let me just put this slightly lower so you can see. Oh yeah, almost. Okay. The last one, and our sugar syrup is ready. Oh, so let me put, now that the sugar syrup's ready, I'm going to put my 1/4 of cardamom powder, lemon juice, so we don't forget that. And then I have that. And now we have our bundi. So if we see here, it makes quite a lot. So this recipe makes about 18 Barfi, and really good size. And it's quite nice, and it's still hot. So we're gonna, can you see my bowl? Let me put that a little bit lower. There you go. So you can see that. Is that all of it? Yeah.
Oh, you wanted this?
Yeah, that's good. And that's the.
That is little.
Okay, right. So what we have is our bundi here, our sugar syrup, and I'm gonna can I have the spatula, please? Perfect. So I'm just gonna pour the hot sugar syrup, and again, be careful because it, this is boiling sugar. And I'm just going to give it a good mix. And the idea is, I mean, this is like nice little crunchy balls, that what you want to do is have all that sugar syrup soak into it. And absorb it so it goes soft. So I'm now going to put the blade cover on. Put the bundi on top. And we're going to cook it. So we keep the temperature for 5 minutes, 100 degrees. 5 minutes, 10 degrees, speed 1.5. So what I want is it just to stir so it mixes. Now, meanwhile, we can just put, so what we're going to do is pour, I'm just going to bring my iPad closer because that one didn't work before. And we're going to now show you what we're going to do with the pan. Okay. We're going to have so much cleaning up to do after this too. We have 2 Thermomixes and 4 bowls, and we've used all of them. So it's low, medium heat, and you just want to be cooking it so it starts to come into a ball. And if I let Anita do that, I will show you what we did earlier. Okay. So our Barfi that we made yesterday, I just made it in a little glass Tupperware top bowl. I lined it with baking paper, and what you do is you press it down, and this is where I put almonds and pistachios on it, and it just comes away with the grease-proof baking paper, and then can be sliced into your little Barfi pieces like that. And well, the proof's in the pudding, so this is the part where I'll actually taste it. And it really is, it's melt in the mouth. Very, very creamy Barfi. So yeah, very, very nice. That was pressed down, and then I refrigerated it to cool. If we come back to Anita. That's the stage it's on. That's the stage that we're at for that particular Barfi, and I will use the same greaseproof paper to make today's. And use that there. Okay. Right. So if I show you excuse me, let me just wash my hand. What our bundi laddus look like, here they are. So what happens after this 5 minutes, you have to let this rest for 10 minutes inside the Thermomix. Put it back in a bowl, and you then add 2 tablespoons of chopped nuts. So we add 2 tablespoons of almonds and 2 tablespoons of pistachios, which is why sometimes you can see a little green and a little white flecks in your bundi. Make them into balls, and there you have your motichur laddu. And I mean, again, if I break them, you can see the dots inside. I mean, it's so interesting because my mother's just had a heart surgery in India, so they're in Vellore. But I sent my father a picture of my laddu that I made yesterday, and he said never in his life did he think that I would make laddus at home. And actually never did I think either, but there you go. The lockdown has forced us to do things that we would have never done. And I mean, you can see it is a real labor of love, because it's not the quickest thing to make, but I have to say it's pretty, you know, as you see, we've made them live. We've got it. So I said to a friend of mine, because we're making double recipe, that I'd give her some. I'm not sure how many I would give her, but I'll have to give her some. Okay, so we have our Barfi, which is now done, and we'll show you. That's what we basically got to, that it's the dough, right? It would have happened in the Thermomix, and it did happen in the Thermomix last night, but it just took a little longer because of that. But what you want to do, you want to press this down, add your nuts, and then just chill into the block that we did. And we're going to just smooth this down here, and then refrigerate it as well. So this particular version that we've done today is just for my son. No nuts, no nothing, just plain milk Barfi. But obviously you can put nuts. I was looking for rose petals as well. I think that's really pretty when you have the rose petals, or even, like I said, some of the gold leaf, which just makes things that little bit more special and expensive. But I think, you know, for me, you know, Diwali is very much about family. It's very much about celebrations and being with the people that you love and eating the food that reminds you of your childhood. So I'm really pleased that everyone could join me today. And thank you for asking questions and coming online. I know some of you were obviously on my newsletter, but for example, Vina, how did you come about? Are you on my mailing list or?
I just received your mail, and then I just thought that this is something that I could learn from because of the Indian cooking that I do. So I mean, your mail just came. I don't know how you got, probably through the Thermomix. I don't
No, my mail. You must have signed up at some point. Because it's a MailChimp.
really. So anyway, I was delighted because it was just connecting me with somebody who would be doing my kind of cooking. So I think that, so then I saw yesterday that you did this today, and I was going to actually, I looked into the recipe of gulab jamun in Thermomix, and then the surprise that you were doing this, it was just last minute that I signed.
Oh, wonderful.
I have the rasgullas. I tried them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to rub them with hand, and I did it the first time. I overdid it, so they did swell up, but they became hard. So next time I adjusted my timing, and
Right.
perfect.
Oh, is your Facebook link available? Is it yours or is it the Thermomix Facebook page?
No, it's all mine. So on my signature, and even at the bottom of my
Right.
newsletter, I've got my Instagram account, I've got my Facebook account, and obviously my website as well. So essentially my Instagram just has photos, and there's no way to, unless you look at the profile picture, there's no way to actually look at the links. So my Facebook profile page, actually it's not my profile page, it's not my personal one, it's my business page, then we'll have the link to my website of where it is. So it's just kind of one of those things, or if we do something like that, everything will be on my website anyway, because it's all linking back. So I'm gonna say these laddus are amazing.
Tomorrow's session is again at 10:30?
Yes.
On the Facebook link.
It's going to be on the Facebook link, and it's going to be live. So, live like this, but I don't know how to use Facebook Live, so I'm going to have to learn that this afternoon.
Would we be able to watch that later?
Yes. So what happens with, I think this is a thing, what they were telling me to do. When you do a Facebook Live, it's live to the people who are there, but it just uploads onto your profile and people can watch it anytime as well. So, but dare I say, one of the reasons I like this, one, it's a closed group, and two, I can edit the top and tail parts off from the beginning and the end. But you don't have to watch the beginning and the end. You can just fast forward. Great. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. And especially for the ones who turn the camera on, because I can see you and I can see nodding and interaction, but I do understand that it's at 10:30, so not everyone might be at work or doesn't want to have their cameras on. I will respond to all the chat messages later. And for everyone who registered, I will send you the links directly in an email as here, so you don't have to be looking for it as well.
Thank you so much.
And your blog and the book.
Oh yes, absolutely. I'll send you those separately. I'll send you separately. Brilliant.
Thank you very
All
much.
right.
And happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali. All the best.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali.